Hello and welcome to Albert Park in Melbourne, Australia for the fourth round of the GPVWC Academy Series. My name is Edward Hunter. I'm here with my broadcast director, Sotiris Contagouris. I believe I've got Sotiris' name right, but I think I'm basically going to be commentating alone tonight, which isn't too big of an issue because we've got a great Academy field looking to do battle here on the streets of Melbourne. Of course, this beautiful circuit with it. It's like 11 turns, I'm pretty sure, by the lake in the middle of downtown Melbourne. It's a really challenging, fast, occasionally technical circuit as well, which is really going to challenge time management, especially in the latter stages. And indeed, as you see there, 4.9 kilometers. It is, so I think it's actually more than 11 corners. And we are, I think, in the middle of qualifying at the present moment. I'm just trying to get the live timing up on my end to see if I can actually figure it out. But it is, of course, 16 corners, not 11, as I said earlier, in the qualifying session, because unfortunately we did get started a little bit late. So we're just trying to be a private session, if I'm not mistaken, which means that the drivers might not be able to see each other on track, of course. So that means they'll... Okay, sure thing. Sorry, there's just been a little bit of discussion with the broadcast directors, which I'm sure the audience can't hear. But as you can see, we're about 3 minutes from the end of qualifying, and it would really help if I actually had the... if I remembered where I could find the live timing. Here we go. Live races, I think. Should be able to get it up fairly soon. Yes, unfortunately, there's not too much to commentate on at the moment, ladies and gents. But we may be getting the race underway in about 15 minutes' time, at 8 o'clock, which should be the standard one. While we're waiting, we can talk a little bit about previous races in Academy, of course. We had the first round opening the season in Istanbul in Turkey, which was two, of course, great races. One, of course, by, I think, Mateus Pizkazan and Alex Lahu in race 2, of course. Then in Valencia, of course, in the middle of Spain, the old abandoned street circuit, was hosted round 2, which was won by, I forget who won the first race, but I know Bobby Vakinov won the second because he started the second from pole position. And that was, of course, where we saw Zanini fly over the bridge in a pretty spectacular crash in the second race there. Then round 3, just 2 weeks ago in Imola, at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, that saw Alessandro Maggio win race 1 quite dominantly, and then race 2 was an absolute thriller. And we see, I believe, I wouldn't be surprised to see Maggio start on pole here as well. But he won race 1, and then race 2 came down to, I mean, Joseph Bin Sahel started second, made a brilliant start, led pretty much most of the race until the final lap when it was Maggio and Bobby Vakinov closing on him. He made a little mistake into Acqua Minerale. Joseph Bin Sahel and Alessandro Maggio came together, and Bobby Vakinov, they partied like the Red Sea in front of him, and he was able to sneak through on the final lap, take the lead in dramatic fashion, and make it 2 race 2 wins in a row. So it was certainly spectacular. And there we go. You can see at the bottom there that Maggio has indeed set fastest lap, if not of the warm-up, then potentially of the qualifying session. So I'm just waiting to see if there's any information on my end about what we are. We need a break, apparently. So to fix the technical issues, we're going to go off air for a little bit. We should be back by 8 o'clock at the latest. And sit tight. And we'll be back for more action in Australia for race 1 when we come back. So bye for now. Hello and welcome back to the Albert Park Street Circuit in downtown Melbourne for round 4 of the 2023 GPVWC Academy Series. My name, as ever, is Edward Hunter, and of course I'm being joined by the GPVWC broadcast team doing their best to give you some coverage. We see cars coming out of the pit lane now for warm-up with the race about 8 minutes or so away from starting. So it will be a good time, of course, to go through the grid. I've got it written down. I've literally just been able to capture it, I think, just about in time, so I can read out what the results of qualifying were. The top 10, as we see cars streaming out on track. So, pole position then, as we see the warm-up continue, is taken up by Alessandro Maggio, winner last time out, nearly won race 2 as well. Incredibly quick driver, Maggio, with a lot of fanatical support behind him. We have Joseph Bin Sahel alongside him on the front row, 6 tenths down on him. And then just behind him is a new driver to Academy, but not to me. If you've seen ERC, you will recognize this under the name of Sandro Van Sand, who qualified 3rd, just under 2 tenths behind Bin Sahel, who of course finished 2nd last time out at Imola, and will be looking to follow that up with another podium. Just behind Van Sand is Jesse Latinen, Bradley Sellers will line up 5th on the grid after getting so close to the podium a couple of times at Imola. Michele Orazio will line up 6th, with Brody Lawless in the top 7. Great qualifying from Brody Lawless to beat Mark Bell, who I think, Mike Bell, sorry, not Mark Bell. Mike Bell, of course, who admitted beforehand he'd not done a whole lot of practice at Albert Park in the Academy car, but let's hope he can put in some overtakes nonetheless. Mark McNaughton starts 9th, another British driver, not far behind him. In fact, very, very close between Lawless and Orazio in the battle for 6th on the grid. Just 5 thousandths of a second in it between the two. Usama Kanani rounds out the top 10 from Archie Moat. A disappointing qualifying for Bobby Vakinov down in 12th. Flo, I forget who Flo is, he starts 13th ahead of Ben Constantine. George Giagallis has the mystical 15th position from Davide Zanini. Jerry is 17th, Jan Vasile 18th, Merrick Petrus 19th, Joshua Dexter will start 20th. And then I think it's the likes of Luna Tranca, Jeffrey Ellis getting a very disappointingly slow qualifying lap in there. Byron Lucadellis, Pavitos, Checo Soppinen, and Golder I think will start 26th. And that is, I think, about as far down as I was able to capture before we switch over to the warm-up server. So pole time, by the way, 1:41.2 from Maggio. So they'll be looking to match or better that come the race. But there's going to be a lot to look out for, of course. Albert Park, very slightly difficult track to overtake on at points, although I'm sure race 2 will disprove that once the order is all mixed up, of course. Just a reminder for those who've not watched Academy before, the results of race 1, the top 15 are reversed, of course. So if you finish 15th in race 1, you effectively got pole for race 2, which is, at least at the start, a big advantage as you look at McNaughton negotiating sector 3 in his bright orange Academy car. And I'm just trying to memorize all the corner names, because Albert Park is one of those rare tracks that actually does have corner names. It's not just every corner is a number. And as we cut to Zanini, just going through Lakeside Drive and into turn 11-12, the weight chicane. And Zanini, of course, last time we saw Zanini in action, he was flip-flopping over the bridge and led to one of the most embarrassing commentary moments of my entire commentary career, where I compared Zanini to a Panini flip-flopping for some reason, because it was the first thing that came to mind. So unfortunately, Joshua Birch is not here to stop me from making those silly comments today. So Joshua, I know, might be watching, so all the best, Josh, because I know Josh was suffering a little bit with COVID. So that's why he's not commentating with us tonight. And we've tried reaching out to a few co-commentators, but they've all got, I don't want to say better things to do, because Academy is always action-packed, it's never dull, but certainly they've got other things on their mind for sure, so I'm afraid it's just going to be me. I hope I'm good enough. As we look at Mike Bell, just about to be passed by the pink Academy car. I'm not sure who that is. Cars on the grid, but I will load up the track map and see if I can figure out. Van Sand at the moment is setting the pace in this warm-up, 1:43.065. From Flo, I don't know what Flo's first or last name is, but I'll just keep calling him Flo in the dark blue Academy car. And he is currently about 7 tenths down on Van Sand, but they are quite a way off the times they were doing in qualifying, at least about 2 seconds or so. Anyway, let's have a brief check of the chat quickly. Piskazan says Maggio will win today. Domi Space says, I believe in Jesse Latin in supremacy. And Alex Maggio says, what's up, boys? So Maggio feeling very... I was impressed by Alessandro Maggio's attitude after the way race 2 ended, because I said in commentary at the time, oh, he'll be furious with that. And he was actually incredibly calm, very philosophical, very, well, that's the way things go sometimes, but I'll be back next time. So Maggio definitely got a very mature attitude for someone so young and incredibly quick as well. And Yusuf Bin Sahel, actually, he seemed not too upset with the way things ended either, even though a win potentially slipped away there. But yeah, so often as a commentator, you're trying to hype up the drama when the drivers are actually very kind of measured, considerate in their approach and the way they speak. So I apologize if I'm trying to create drama where there isn't actually any between these guys, because they all get on pretty well, I think, for the most part. 31 drivers in the field, by the way. Waiting to take the start in the next... we're going to get going in about 2 minutes' time, I believe. So let's hope there aren't too many delays. But I will, for the benefit of those joining a bit later, I'll go through the grid once more. Sadly, there's no championship for Academy, although a lot of these guys are sort of effectively trying to put themselves in the shop window for the Formula Sprint 2 teams to basically show what they can do in this Academy car. In the hope for a promotion. As we say, it's always the cream tends to rise to the top of the occasion and get the big chances. You see Kanani just setting a lap good enough for the top 10 and then going very, very wide there. That is, I believe, the green car of... I'm trying to figure out who's back behind Kanani. Oh, I believe it's... that might be Mike Bell, actually. But Kanani just about able to hold off, and he's in fact got a blue flag there, which to me shows that he's holding up someone on a hot lap. We shouldn't see too many blue flags in the race, given its length, which is, I believe, about, oh, was it 13 laps or something like that? We'll see when we get going, because I've immediately forgotten what we said at the very beginning of the broadcast. But anyway, the clock has gone to 8 o'clock then, so we should be getting going once this warm-up ends in about 2 minutes' time then, so we're not far away from lights out and green flag for race 1 as Van Sant sets another fastest lap of the session, although Maggio and Vakinov are setting purple sectors at the moment, especially Vakinov down in 12th. He will be looking to improve upon his time. And there is Jeffrey Ellis, of course, so Ellis, who I believe snuck onto the podium in race 2, and look at him getting sideways through the chicane, which I believe is Jones-Brabham chicane 1 and 2. Then he goes down Orty Drive, and the other side of the lake into turn 3, which is of course Sports Centre. Then into Hell, I think he goes a little bit wide on exit there from Sports Centre as well. Now into turn 5, Whitefoot. This is where, of course, the section of the track where in real life, as we see Jeffrey Ellis get very wide, and in fact into the wall he goes. So trying to get too much speed on the exit there, got dipped 2 wheels on the grass and completely lost traction. So it's very, very easy to lose control as we see Maggio set down another benchmark time here as we go into the final minute of warm-up, 1:42.3. So yes, it's about just over a second off of his pole time. But anyway, 46 seconds to go, and Maggio is being held up by one of the blue cars. They quite considerately gets out of the way. And just heard somebody in the background of my ear saying, "Nice pass, Maggio." But let's hope he doesn't have to do too many of those in the race, starting, of course, from pole position. And Maggio, he's led from pole before. I wouldn't be too surprised to see him control things from the front, but it depends how good they are on time management. This is a circuit where if you get in the slipstream behind somebody, you can potentially, as we look at Tranker crashing out at the final few corners there. So that's, of course, he just got out of shape through Senna and Prost, turns 15 and 16. You see Vakinov negotiate it in a much more clean manner, although someone behind him goes straight into the wall in the orange car there. So big crash there for, I believe, that might have been VAZ, which I believe is Christian Vazdar. Oh, but he's in a dark blue car. I had to be someone in an orange car. But anyway, time elapsed then, so we should be getting ready to go to the race session once these flying laps have been completed. I think Vakinov might be the last man to finish his flying lap. And Vakinov certainly riding the crest of a wave, has had a few tryouts in Formula Sprint and some of the other categories as well that GPVWC has to offer. But of course, certainly easier to stand out being at the very, very top of Academy than occasionally being a little bit further down the field in some of the other series, but then again, you want to test yourself against the best competition available, and Vakanov, definitely a man in demand if what Menno Klont, his conversations with him are anything to go by, because of course Menno is also one of the team managers, as well as helping out a little bit with the broadcast from time to time. And yeah, definitely Vakanov, the only man on track then, so everyone is waiting on him to finish so we can get going, as we go into nearly 5 minutes past the hour. Through the final few corners we go, through Stewart and Ascari, and now into Senna and Prost again. Turns 15 and 16. And Vakanov very good at these sort of low speed sections where traction is very, very important on corner exit. Fourth at the moment, whereas Vakanov going to end the warm-up. It's still going to be fourth. So no change there for Bobby Vakanov. But we are getting well, he did set a purple middle sector there, to be fair. So he wasn't too far off of Latinen's time. And of course, we know from what was being said in the chat earlier from Dommy Space that there are quite a few Jasse Latinen fans hoping for him to do well. But now we're about to tick over, and the grid is going to form up for the race. Yeah, 12 lap race. I remembered 13 laps, but it is actually 12. So completely wrong on that. There we go. In fact, it is 13 laps if you include the warm-up, of course. So, for those just tuning in, welcome to the beginning of race one then. So here's our starting grid. Bobby Vakanov is on pole from Jonas Kaluka. Is that correct? I'm not sure it is. It should be Joseph Bin Sahel, of course. So I think there might be something a little bit mixed up from one of the practice sessions there. So I will go through the grid anyway. So there's Maggio on pole from Joseph Bin Sahel. Sandra Van Sand is third, ahead of Jesse Latinen. Bradley Sellers will line up fifth on the grid from Michelle Horacio. Brody Lawless lines up seventh on the grid ahead of Mike Bell, and that is row 4 completed. Then Martin McNaughton lines up ninth ahead of Suma Kanani to round out the top 10. Archie Moat starts 11th ahead of Bobby Vakanov, winner the last 2 race 2s. He'll be hoping to make up some progress in race 1 as well. Flo starts 13th. Ben Constantine will start 14th. I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit quick for the graphic, because I'm trying to check where we are then. So as I said, Vakanov 12th, Flo 13th, Ben Constantine 14th. But if you know Flo, any other name for Flo, I would love to be able to say it consistently rather than just calling him. Is he like one of those like Prince? It just has a one-word name that he just uses all the time. But anyway, he's just ahead of Ben Constantine. George Gigalis 15th, Davide Zanini will line up 16th, Ruggiero 17th, Jan Vaselli 18th, Merrick Petras 19th, Joshua Dexter 20th, Luna Tranka 21st, Jeffrey Ellis 22nd, Byron Lucadellis 23rd, Pavitsos will start 24th in his Red Academy car, ahead of Juho Cheko Sopanen in 25th, Bjorn Golder is 6th, Louis Smith 27th, Christian Vazdar 28th, Caroline Harvick 29th, Julian Kerr 30th, and bringing up the rear is Fahid Ahmed, who's hoping to make it a little bit further in the race than he has on his last few attempts. So let's hope Fahid Ahmed's connection holds, because he's not had a great run of things so far in the Academy Championship, and certainly deserves a much more clear run then. But we cut back to Maggio then, hoping to lead away the field from the start. Needs to make sure Joseph Bin Sahel, who we saw get a brilliant start from second in Imola, doesn't get the jump on him, because that is going to be where he's the biggest threat potentially. But this will be a great test of Maggio's endurance. He did it at Imola. Can he do it at Albert Park here in Australia? This, of course, is hosting the next round of the Formula One World Championship, of course, for those who watch those bigger, more powerful cars in real life. It's a very prestigious event. It used to be the season opening event in the Formula One calendar for many, many years, but I guess Bahrain pays a bit more these days. And now relegated to third, of course, which is not completely uncommon, because it has hosted, of course, it used to be held at Adelaide back in the day, in the other side of Australia, and used to host the season closing race. But Albert Park, very, very popular venue, and one that challenges drivers in many, many ways, although not always the best for overtaking, but we may well see me proved wrong immediately on that front as we wait. Very uneven grid. Looks like somebody is very, very slow. Kanani, I think, is still in the pit lane, which is probably why there's a bit of confusion here. I think it's Zanini in the lime car that is just taking his time getting into his spot just now for Ahmed at the back, or potentially from the pit lane. Here we go then. So the lights will come on any second, and we'll be getting going here in Albert Park for race 1. Maggio on the right, Vince Hale on the left in the blue car. So who's going to lead the way into turn 1? I have a feeling that Maggio is going to be waiting just to make the perfect start here. As we see Kanani get a penalty. I'm not sure what that is for, potentially for being out of position on the grid. As we see somebody is all the way to the inside there. We know race stewards don't like that. Kanani still showing is in the pit lane. And we wait for race direction to the start light sequence. Very long hold here, so they're certainly sorting something out in behind the scenes. There we go. The light's about to come on then. 3 lights, 4 lights, and now 5. And race 1 is underway here in Melbourne, and it's a good start for Maggio, but Bin Sahel goes right into the slipstream. We see Ahmed waiting at the exit of the pit lane to be released. 3rd place in the pit car, that is of course Van Sand, holding on from Latinen into turn 1. Horacio and Lawless makes a bad start as Mike Bell attacks him into turn 1, but Maggio now leads into turn 3 and has just got Bin Sahel behind him because there's a big gap to 3rd place. Bin Sahel has a little think about attacking up the inside into turn 3. But Alessandro Maggio had him more than covered there, and Van Sand and Latinen are actually getting quite close together for 3rd, and there's a huge train of cars fighting for 3rd now, which is Van Sand, Latinen, Sellers, Lawless, Horacio, Bell, Vakinov, and McNaughton, the top 10. So a few movers and shakers there. Lawless just about holding on to 6th, and in fact gaining a position from Horacio. But Bin Sahel is the only one really who's still got Maggio in his sights. Having lost the win last time out with Maggio, these two have got a little bit of previous, just a tiny bit of needle between the pair of them. And Bin Sahel gets a great run on the approach to turn 11 through Lakeside Drive. But here, look at this, Ladinen in the middle of a crazy battle for 3rd here. Trying to hold on from the likes of Sellers, Lawless, Horacio, and Bell. Right behind him as we see that's Van Sand just getting a wheel onto the grass and gravel on the exit, and then going all the way to the inside and putting up more gravel into the face of Latinen. So, and then up the inside goes Bradley Sellers. Well, Bradley Sellers is overtaken rather by Brody Lawless. A very opportunistic move from Brody Lawless there into Ascari, turn 13. And the order continues away with Bin Sahel trailing Maggio by 7/10 of a second now as we complete the first lap, and Bradley Sellers looking to get back on song in the battle for 5th place with Brody Lawless, who's made quite an impressive start. Anyway, that is the first lap complete. Then a few yellow flags there. I think there might be somebody in a little bit of trouble at the back, but Fad Ahmed is going to complete the first lap, I think, which is certainly good. And he's not in last either, so starting from the pit lane, has been able to hold on there as we see Horacio getting a little bit out of shape through the first chicane, but surviving. And now Mike Bell really in a bit of a red sandwich here. He's got Bradley Sellers ahead of him and Horacio behind him, and then Bobby Vakinov, who started 12th, has made up a few places, 3 places in fact, to get into the top 9 and is now chasing down Horacio, of course. So keep your eyes on Bobby Vakinov. He's certainly qualified a little bit out of position. Not sure exactly what the reason was for that. As we see him go through Marina into Lauda. Now approaching Clark. Of course, the slightly remodeled part of the circuit now. It's much higher speed than it used to be, because they've gotten rid of the chicane. Down onto Lakeside Drive then. And this is really where you just need to make sure at this high speed left-right chicane, you get your exit nailed down. Bobby Vakinov puts a little dips a wheel on the grass there, so he loses a little bit of touch to Horacio ahead of him. But here comes Bradley Sellers then trying to get back in touch with Brody Lawless, and Lawless goes a little bit wide through Ascari, which opens the door a little bit to Bradley Sellers, but Maggio up front has checked out a bit, 1.5 seconds ahead of Bin Sahel, and Bradley Sellers has a look up the inside on Brody Lawless and gets out of shape now. This is going to allow Mike Bell to attack him around the outside through the final corner here. He's going to get the best line into Jones and Brabham chicane. Maggio again sets fastest lap of the race, 42.0. Very, very quick up front there. And Bin Sahel is struggling to live with that pace as, oh, look at that. Brody Lawless gets a huge wiggle on the exit of the chicane. And Bradley Sellers, if anything, gets slightly held up there, which puts him into the clutches of Bell. Vakinov is up to 8th now, so it looks like Horacio down to 10th has made a mistake somewhere. But Mike Bell looking to make more moves here as we go through the sports center on the right there. And look at this. Let's see, Bradley Sellers now. It's sort of overtake or be overtaken here. And Sellers looking up just that little bit out of shape on some of the exits of these corners, which could allow Mike Bell to sweep up the inside now. He's just got to go full throttle here and get as close to the gearbox of Bradley Sellers as he can. Is Sellers going to leave the gap on the inside here at turn 11? No, he covers all the way to the inside, tries to go back to the racing line now. And Mike Bell is not able to go through around the outside. So Bell will have to... Oh, but there we go. Sellers dips a wheel on the grass. And that allows Mike Bell to get right up behind once more as we see yellow in Sector 2. Not sure exactly who that concerns, but it looks like... oh, Jerry is in trouble and dropping down the order. Here he is. That's Luna Tranker, actually, who has also had a bit of an off at the chicane of turn 11. Weight. But it is still Maggio leading Bin Sahel by 1.5 seconds then. Up front. And Bobby Vakinov sort of trying to shadow Mike Bell here in the similarly liveried green Academy car. The big gainer here is probably Vaselli, who's gained 6 positions, although Tranker, who we just saw have a big off there and recovering from it, has also gained 6 as well. The Konstantin and Sopanen have a battle over 19th, a bit further back. But anyway, the order's starting to stabilize a bit. All the top 4 have stayed exactly where they were. Brody Lawless, the big winner in the top 6, going 2 places from 8th to 6th. Here is Maggio alone up front, carrying as much speed as he can through the Marina section. And just look at the gap. He's got 3.8 seconds to Bin Sahel. I think Bin Sahel might actually be starting to be caught by Van Sand, if anything. Yeah, the gap started to open up. Van Sand 1.9 behind Bin Sahel, but Latinen still about 6 tenths behind him. Oh, look at Maggio just getting the drift on mid-corner as Sellers gets back past Brody Lawless for 6th position. So Lawless in a bit of trouble. Vakinov is also fighting with Bell, but Bell is just able to hold on there. And now Lawless back through on Bradley Sellers. Here they are, all 3 together then. Mike Bell is going to try and go up the inside of Bradley Sellers into Ascari. Here we go. He leaves plenty of room, does Bradley Sellers, and Mike Bell through into 6th position there. So that was some very spirited fighting between these 4, and Vakinov, I think, is going to fancy a run on Bradley Sellers quite soon as well. But Bell now free to attack Brody Lawless for 5th position. Another top 5 to add to the Mike Bell's collection. Certainly got a habit of finishing the top 5 in these races. Maggio sits on 141.8 up front. He is absolutely streaking away with this one as we go to into lap 5 now, and nearly at half distance. And Mike Bell breaks very, very late into the first corner, and that's not actually going to help his exit too much. So Brody Lawless will start to streak away just a little bit. And in fact, that allows Bradley Sellers to close back in then and away from Bobby Vakinov slightly. Just behind them, McNaughton in 9th. It's also, we saw him make a big recovery in race 2 at Imola. So McNaughton certainly one to watch as well. He has cleared Horacio in the recent past. As we see a few positions changing a bit further back and a yellow in the first sector. I think that might have been... we see Kanani and Ahmed have both retired then. Big shame for Kanani as all 3 of them dipping, throwing out some sand here in Australia next to the beach. But next to the lake rather in Albert Park. But Mike Bell has now got a great run on Brody Lawless. He will try and sweep to the outside for the fast left-right-hander at Waite corner in turn 11. Here we go. Is Lawless going to break late? Yes, he is, and Mike Bell has to readjust his line. But Lawless compromises his exit, and Mike Bell is going to streak through on the inside here as we go through Hill and then up towards Ascari there. So Mike Bell into 5th position. Can Brody Lawless do anything about it? Oh, he's under attack from Sellers. Sellers up the inside into Ascari, and Brody Lawless makes a little bit of contact, and that could open the door for Bobby Vakinov up the inside into 7th position. There he goes. And Bradley Sellers and Vakinov, the big gainers there. So one mistake there from Brody Lawless has cost him a lot of positions. In fact, there we go. Horacio getting back past McNaughton for 9th position, just behind these two. And in fact, they're about to go side by side down the straight there. McNaughton and Horacio for 9th. Going to be able to pull out, and Horacio defends the inside, so that really compromises what McNaughton can do here. But Horacio goes all over the grass there, gets out of shape, and Mark McNaughton will fancy getting back into the top 9 here at the end of this straight. Where is he going to position his car into turn 3 once again? Horacio defends the inside into turn 3, forces McNaughton to compromise his exit, and there we go. McNaughton held at bay for now by Michel Horacio. So the gap up front, by the way, nearly over 5 seconds now in favor of Alessandro Maggio, as Brody Lawless now is attacking Vakinov again. So Vakinov now looking very, very vulnerable with Lawless all over the slipstream. Vakinov is creating a massive hole in the air behind him for Brody Lawless to take advantage of. Can that pinky purple car find a way through here? He's going to try and do exactly what Mike Bell did to him by going around the outside. Let's have a look in the background. Brody Lawless pulls to the outside. Is he going to make it through here into this chicane? No, Bobby Vakinov was wise to that one and able to keep him at bay and hold him off. So here we go then. But it's still continuing down the exit here. Brody Lawless is going to have to go round the outside of Vakinov, and into the gravel goes Brody Lawless. Oh dear, he's having such a good race up to that point, and Horacio and McNaughton are able to get through now. So a sort of clumsy error there. He just tried to go in too hot into Ascari, couldn't get it turned in time, and had to make a trip through the gravel. But luckily still in the race, and will be able to continue in the top 10. But that somewhat compromises our battles in the top, as we see yellow in the 3rd sector there, as Sellers now is starting to attack Mike Bell for 5th position then. Lattinen is about 2 seconds ahead of these guys, and he's dropped behind Van Sand. So the top 4 looking pretty spread out there, as Lawless has now gotten past McNaughton already into turn 2. Here we go, and McNaughton has to slot in behind. So McNaughton must have made a mistake into the first chicane then. There we go. That's actually Vaselli actually in front of him and not Lawless. So he lost 2 positions and another mistake for McNaughton. That's going to allow George Giagallis through and the exit turn 4. You don't often see moves there. So looks a little bit like McNaughton may have mistakes here, but it's just be out of his rhythm a bit. I don't think his tires are burnt up or anything. I think he's just getting a bit frustrated and making mistakes. So we are into lap 7 now. So the closing stages fast approaching, and Van Sand is actually only about 6/10 behind Yusuf bin Sahel in the battle for 2nd overall in this race. Meanwhile, the battle for the crucial 15th position is currently held by Flo, who is about half a second ahead of Jeffrey Ellis. There is Mark McNaughton down in 12th. So he will, even though this race has not gone to plan for McNaughton, he will be well placed. As we go, Jeffrey Ellis about to take the reverse grip pole away from Flo, but Flo in his dark blue Academy car is able to position his car pretty well defensively. And Ellis, we know how quick he is. He is a podium finisher in Academy before, and after having a pretty difficult qualifying, looking to make up ground. Well, there we go, final 5 laps remaining then. Maggio has extended the gap to 6 seconds then over bin Sahel, who's had really no response in this race so far to the man who he was in such a close battle with last time out. So it's not really turned into a rerun of Imola, because but at least bin Sahel having a cleaner race than his race one last time out, with that 2nd place looking still fairly comfortable. But Jeffrey Ellis really desperately needs to get that 15th position, as McNaughton looks like he's in trouble here. Oh, a big crash. That's Giagallis in the wall and missing his front wing, and Giagallis retires, so he's clearly got it wrong out of the exit of the 1st chicane. And oh, this is McNaughton now back in 11th, holding off Petras. Petras, who we've seen on the verges of the top 10 before, he fancies that 11th place. So McNaughton finally gets going again and defends that 11th position. But this promotes Jeffrey Ellis into that crucial 15th position that he'll need for race 2. But here we go, Bradley Sellers once again attacking Mike Bell. Has he picked the right moment? Has he kept the tyres alive for these final 3 laps? And he gets right in the slipstream. Will Sellers dive up the inside? No, he thinks better of that, because we saw what happened to Brody Lawless. He compromised his line, trying to brake late on the inside, as Van Sand gets through past bin Sahel for 2nd position up front. So Van Sand has made a crucial move there, and a brilliant move too in that pink car. He's just outbraked bin Sahel into turn 13, at the inside at Ascari. And Bintail needs to be careful that Latinen doesn't catch him too. I wonder if Bintail is potentially worn out his tires a little bit trying to chase Maggio, as we see yellow in sector 2. So this time to kick off here at the end of race 1. But Maggio very, very comfortably in the lead from Van Sand. Then it is Bintail, Latinen, Bell, Sellers, Vakinov, Horacio, Lawless, and Vaselli, your top 10 at the moment. So Jan Vaselli continues to rise up the order, having started down, I believe, about 18th position. He's got up to 10th. So he's been done well to avoid all of the chaos around him, as here's Bradley Sellers building himself up for a last-ditch attack on Mike Bell. But Mike Bell, you've got to wake up pretty early in the morning to get past him, the Englishman. Able to, at least both Englishmen, actually, Bradley Sellers and Mike Bell, as we see Ellis get past Moat. So Moat in trouble because Flo has got through him as well. So this puts Flo back onto reverse group pole with Archie Moat losing out there. He'll be desperate to get back into that crucial 15th position, as we see another yellow in the third sector that clears momentarily. But here we go, Sellers, as Lawless gets a penalty, and that could really make things interesting post-race. But here comes Bradley Sellers all over the rear wing of Mike Bell. And can Mike Bell position his Green Academy car exactly where he needs to? No, he'll just act like Bradley Sellers isn't even there and brake later than him into turn 11. And Bradley Sellers once again denied and having to just build up his momentum once more for an attack on that 5th position, because you've got to think if Bradley Sellers could just get the run, he might be able to overtake. The problem is he's quick in the corners where you can't overtake as easily, and Mike Bell just has him covered. As here we go, Archie Moat fancies that reverse group pole again, and Flo has got to keep him at bay for these last 2.5 laps or so. And Archie Moat, desperate after his mistake to regain ground. But ahead of them, that's Ellis, of course. So Ellis is going to be positioned well for the race 2 big start, in 3rd at the moment, but only 14th in this race. Sorry, on the provisional grid for race 2, as we see Goulder and Soppinen fighting each other. But here's Bradley Sellers building up for another attack. Can he outfox Mike Bell? Because it's really a matter of picking his moment, waiting maybe for Mike Bell to over-defend, for his tyres to die, or for the opportunity to present itself for Mike Bell just to run a little bit wide on the exit of one of these corners. Here we go through into the Marina. Much faster corner than it used to be after the profiling for 2023. And a yellow in the 3rd sector. But Bradley Sellers once again building up speed, going through that hole in the air, being punched by Mike Bell ahead of him. Is he going to be able to position himself either around the outside or just go for the inside at the last minute? Mike Bell has got to hold the middle of the road here. Indeed he does. So is Petras and Lawless swap positions for 11th and 12th. And Moat is still all over the back of Flo in the battle for the reverse grid pole. It's really and Lartinen has got within about a second and that's Brody Lawless getting all off track there, as Archie Moat now dives up the inside for that 50th position and spins into the bollard and just about collects himself up there, and that's not a place where you really want to go off. But Archie Moat just about lives to fight another day, but 15th is worth a whole lot more than 16th in the context of race 2. For Archie Moat's chances there. And is that his last chance? He needs to make sure he doesn't let... Oh, and a big spin, and that's Flo facing the wrong way. He just dipped the wheel on the grass. And that is Archie Moat back into 15th position. But Bradley Sellers positioning himself to attack, as we've got Flo so frustrated to lose that 15th position, that reverse group pole that looked dead on. Bradley Sellers once again closing right up to the back of Mike Bell and giving him a very, very hard time indeed. He's going to be pushing him all the way across the line at this rate. And he's going to make sure he's got enough fuel to finish the race too. So make sure you don't run out. So here we go, side by side. Brody Lawless. And that is Ellis, is it? He's fighting with there. And Jeffrey Ellis just about getting through then on the exit of turn 2. And into turn 3 they go. Will Lawless try and sweep around the outside of Jeffrey Ellis? He's going to try, but he runs out of road. It just wasn't in his favor there. The trajectory was always going to close down on him, and Jeffrey Ellis holds on to that 13th position and to keep Brody Lawless at bay. Fantastic battling there. But Bradley Sellers, here we go. Good exit then from the high-speed chicane. And here we go into Hill. and then into Ascari. Bradley Sellers going to try around the outside of Mike Bell. Mike Bell can just control the line here from the inside, but he doesn't break late enough. Bradley Sellers sweeps through on the outside on the penultimate lap there. Fabulous move there by Bradley. And Maggio, meanwhile, is about to start the final lap of the race then, up ahead. Here we go then, and he's got a 6.5 second gap to Sandro Van Sand, who's 2.7 ahead of Joseph Bin Sahel, and then it's a second apart for Latinen and Sellers, and Mike Bell still right behind Sellers, hoping to counter-attack then. But Maggio, he's about to lap somebody at the back here. As we see Flo get a penalty as well, so that might have something to do with the events leading up to that spin there, or perhaps what's happened since, but that's really disappointing for Flo, who now sees Brody Lawless is going to inherit that 15th place reverse grid pole, because Moat has got past him as well. And on to the final lap, the trio go. So this is really going to decide the top three in the starting grid for race 2 here. But at the moment, you've got to say Maggio has not put a foot wrong, as up the inside goes Moat on Jeffrey Ellis, and Moat is compromised, which will allow Brody Lawless to have a run at him here. So here we go, Brody Lawless trying to get that 14th place off of the similarly liveried car of Archie Moat round the outside. Is Brody Lawless going to try and reposition himself to get the undercut here? And no, Archie Moat just controls the middle of the road. And look at Brody Lawless going all over the curbs there on the inside. But here comes Bradley Sellers. He's got to defend from Mike Bell. Mike Bell going up the inside at the fast turn 11 chicane. And Bradley Sellers is outfoxed there. And right behind them, who's that? It's Vakinov going as wide as he likes, trying to carry as much speed as he can. But Sellers is counting up for another counter-attack on Mike Bell here. Bradley Sellers, will he try round the outside of Mike Bell once more? Surely he's going to run out of road, and indeed he does. And now Vakinov's right behind him. Maggio about to cross the line to win race 1 here at Melbourne, but it's anyone's guess who's going to finish in the top 5 here. Here is Maggio, a fabulous drive. Race 1 goes the way of this incredibly quick Italian. Sandro Van Sand, another Italian, is going to finish second here as Lawless gets past Ellis and Moat in the battle for 13th position. Bin Sahel is going to hold on to third from Latinen, so a podium, a just reward for Yusuf Bin Sahel, who drove a very good defensive drive there, but look how close they all were in the end. Sellers, Bell, Vakinov, Horacio, Vassili and McNaughton are your top 10, and it is Jeffrey Ellis who's going to start from reverse grid pole in race 2 in that magical 15th position. But there were a few post-race penalties, which I believe have since been applied now that everyone is just coming through and crossing the line there. But wow, what a very exciting and action-packed battle for basically everything 5th downwards in this race. As there we go, Archie Moat crosses the line on. Oh, there's Jeffrey Ellis missing both wings on his car. So there was clearly some sort of collision there. So he's going to, there he is, crabbing too. He's just got to cross the line then, and he's going to take that 15th place. So Flo was a bit too far back to take advantage of that crash for Jeffrey Ellis. But, and with that penalty of his own that's going to be applied surely as soon as he crosses the line, that holds off at least Bjorn Golder. And we see the last few cars coming through that haven't been lapped there. There's Soppinen, who really had a bit of an anonymous race fighting at the back there with the likes of Luki Ellis, who also comes through now. And there's Caroline Harvig, finishes in the top 20, so that's a pretty good race considering Caroline Harvig is usually sort of 22nd, 23rd. And there's Julian Kerr making it to the end in his light blue car. Certainly crabbing as well, so he's hit the wall or another car somewhere too. There's Louis Smith deciding to finish in the pit lane rather than on the track itself. So you do you, Louis. But there we go. Let's now that everyone I think has just come through to cross the line, we can have a look at the final results then, because I think Julian Kerr was the last man. It's just these people, these stragglers in the pit lane still going. But we'll get the results screen up as soon as we can, and I will just, in the meantime, here we go. So, race 1 is taken by Alessandro Maggio, who really stamped his authority on that. He's going to start from 15th come race 2. Sandro Van Sand gets up to second there with a great move on Yusuf Bin Sahel. So Van Sand showing his star quality. Yusuf Bin Sahel holds on to his second podium of the season, a second podium in a row actually, after finishing second in race 2 at Imola. Jesse Latinen holds on to 4th from impressive Bradley Sellers, who had a great fight with Mike Bell the entire race over 5th position. Bobby Vakinov climbs from 12th to 7th in the end, beating Michelle Horacio. Jan Vaselli climbs to 9th from near the back, and Mark McNaughton rounds out the top 10 then. And let's see if we can see 11th onwards, if possible. Here we go. That's, of course, Marek Petras finishing 11th, beating Luna Tranka. Archie Moat 13th after his great battle with Brody Lawless. And Jeffrey Ellis had that crash at the end, demoting him to 15th, and reverse grid pole. He's lucky here, didn't get out of the race there. Flo, with that spin, what could have been there, that penalty as well. He finishes 16th in the end, ahead of Bjorn Golder. Juho Cheko Soppinen is 18th, ahead of Byron Lukadelis. And Caroline Harvig rounds out the top 20 then in I think one of the better finishes for Harvig this season. 21st will be Julian Kerr from Louis Smith, Christian Vazdar, Pavitsos, Ben Constantine, George Diagalis in 26th, Jer is 27th, Joshua Dexter 28th, and then I believe we're into the retirements actually with Pavitsos was the first retirement, sorry. Constantine, Diagalis, Jer, Dexter, Osama Kanani, and Fahad Ahmed also retiring right at the beginning of the race. So quite a few non-finishers. Louis Smith also classed as a non-finisher, and Davide Zanini, of course, down in officially classified down in 31st. So that's all from a very hectic race 1 then, but tune in for race 2, which promises to be even more dramatic. Minutes time, so I think we might just go for a very brief break now. We'll be back on the other side for race 2, which will, of course, Hello and welcome back to Australia. We've just completed race 1 of our GPVWC Academy Series meeting here, and we're now just wrapping up for race 2. Of course, for those who missed it, race 1 won quite dominantly by Alessandro Maggio, but a big battle for 5th place now, and now we're getting ready for race 2, where Jeffrey Ellis will, despite losing both his front and rear ring in race 1, having finished 15th, he will take reverse grid pole and lead away the field. So joining me now in commentary is, of course, Sotiris Contiguris, my good friend, who is going to help just a little bit with the commentary.
Hello, good evening, guys.
Thanks. I'm pretty good. It's not always easy to commentate on your own, so I'm glad you've come to join me. What were your thoughts on race 1? There was a huge battle for 5th, wasn't there?
Yep. A hell of a battle. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I thought you had more to say.
From the
Yeah, me too. It's so
in-car camera, yeah. Let's see how race
well, as Brody Lawless is making a few moves beyond, and then
yeah, it was really exciting. Yep. Also for
exactly.
15.
Yeah, so the big. Oh yes, of course. Always important to finish in the top 15 if you can in race 1 to take advantage of that reverse grid.
Yep. It's a gift for P1 next race, so it's a huge advantage.
The big question is whether. The big question, I think, is going to be whether Maggio can make his way through the field again, like we saw him do so effectively at Imola, because this is a very different track in terms there aren't as many taking opportunities.
Maggio was very fast during race 1, so I believe he's going to climb up the stairs. I'm really looking forward to see race 2.
Yes, let's also not forget about Bobby Vakinov, finished down in 7th. So he's got a few less people to pass than Maggio, but we've seen him win the last 2 race 2s in a row. So, and here he is now, actually, just driving around at the end of the warm-up, setting as many laps as he can under his belt to make sure he's as prepared as possible. But Vakinov, I think, didn't quite make the progress that he would have hoped for in race 1 from 12th on the grid. He was only able to get up to 7th. As there we go, we see him rudely snatched away from his lap there.
He has more chances.
Yeah, the race. We gotta get the grid order going, Bobby. So no time for that.
So formation lap begins.
Yeah, that's for sure. So now we see the drivers forming up on the grid. For race 2, and there's a big gap in the middle of the grid there, but I'm sure that's going to populate quite quickly. So, if it's all right with you, Sotiris, I'm going to very quickly go there. So, Jeffrey Ellis starts on pole position then, with both front and rear wings attached on his car again, which is good for him. Let's hope he keeps them on this time. Brody Lawless will start alongside him on the front wing in the Pink Academy car. Archie Moat in another Pink Academy car starts 3rd, with Luna Tranka in another Pink Academy car in 4th. Then a light blue Academy car, it's Marek Petras, who starts 5th, ahead of Mark McNaughton in the Orange Academy machine. Jan Vaselli starts 7th, ahead of Michelle Horacio. Bobby Vakinov starts 9th, just ahead of Mike Bell in the similarly liveried, got a lot of similar liveries quite close to each other here. And then Bradley Sellers starts 11th, just outside the top 10, with Jasse Latinen in 12th. Yusuf Bin Sahel starts 13th, ahead of Sandro Van Sant. And then our race 1 winner, Alessandro Maggio, starts down in 15th. Flo will start 16th, just behind Maggio. Then it's Bjorn Golder in 17th. Byron Lucadelis in 18th. Caroline Harvig 19th. Louis Smith will start 20th, ahead of Christian Vazdar. Ben Constantine will start 22nd, ahead of George Giagalis. Joshua Dexter is 24th. Usama Kanani will start 25th, ahead of Fahid Ahmed. And then bringing up the rear, it's Davide Zanini. So there we go. Drivers looking to improve upon their results from race 1.
Let's see.
Yes, looks like Jeffrey L is very much controlling the pace, having a very leisurely warm-up lap here.
Yeah, he's going pretty slow. I thought they were starting to take positions, but it's still in sector 2, I believe. Yeah, sector 2.
Yeah, and this is where they're all going to be slipstreaming each other to get that run into sort of the turn 11-12 chicane, I believe it is. Just
It's a trap.
by the Lakeside Drive. Yeah.
It's a trap.
All those pink cars from second through to fourth.
Yeah, we need more colors in Academy, so...
Yeah, we could probably do some custom liveries as well, come to think of it, Sataris. Because there's not a lot of personalization. It's sort of, right, you pick a color, it's all one color.
I would like to see
let's
that.
hope no one else picks the color.
I would like to see that, yeah.
Especially even just some helmet designs would probably help as well. It would help partially
Because you
solve the problem.
can tell the difference at least. Now, what I'm seeing is like 3 pink cars, green, blue.
Just keep in mind, at the very front is Brody Lawless. So both Brody Lawless and Jeffrey Ellis starting on the front row. They've both got something to prove here. We saw how quick Brody Lawless was, undone by mistakes, and a similar story for Jeffrey Ellis too. Ellis has finished on the podium before, and this is going to be his best opportunity yet, I think, to top it, with Maggio starting really far back. But let's not underestimate him. I think, like you said earlier, and look at Brody Lawless really getting the wheels spun and almost back.
Be careful there. Wow, he was lucky.
Before the race even started, some drama there. So Brody getting very lawless indeed.
I think you need the front wing for turn 1.
Yes, Jeffrey Ellis already lost the rear wing once today. He doesn't want that to happen again. But anyway, then, the back of the field just forming up.
Yep.
There is a...
forming.
So once Zanini gets in position, it shouldn't be too long before the light sequence begins, and a dramatic race 2 is in store for us, ladies and gents. So there you go. It's Jeffrey Ellis on the right and Brody Lawless on the left.
Let's see.
And there we go. The lights now coming on. 2 lights, 5 lights. And we are away for race 2 here at Albert Park, and it's a great start for Jeffrey Ellis as Lawless slots in to hold off Archie Moa, and there's somebody going really far across the road there towards the wall, and up the inside comes the orange car of, that must be Mark Norton trying to fight Luca Tranca now and holding off Petras behind him. But through they go, and look at the lead Ellis has got over the 3 pink cars as Lawless is now under attack from Moat, and now Moat has got, that must be Luca Tranca trying to go all the way around the outside of him and just being thwarted in that attempt. So Luca Tranca remains down in 4th then. As I look behind, it's getting crazy with Mike Bell and Sellers all in the battle here.
Wow.
And now yeah, I thought there was going to be a lot more into the side of each other action there, but they've genuinely kept it clean. And Ellis now already starting to streak away from Brody Lawless as we go into Sector 2 now. And now Luca Tranca is going to get double slipstream here from Moat and Lawless in front of him. Which of these pink cars is going to come out on top? Tranca has got to pick his moment here, and now Lawless has got Moat going through up the inside of the chicane there. And that's Moat through into 2nd position. Oh, and he just gets through on the outside there. And now Lawless is going to try and counter-attack and barge his wheels a little bit as they come into turn 13, into Ascari. And now Luca Tranca is going to try go on the inside of Lawless. So this has not gone Brody Lawless's way at all. And Jeffrey Ellis, he's starting to check out here at the end of lap 1 now. And McNaughton fancies getting involved with these 3 pink machines as well.
Yeah, what a nice battle.
So... wow, Sataris. I don't think that was what I was expecting. As again, Brody Lawless gets very close to the wall on the exit of the final corner there.
Oh, he almost...
It is, but Archie Moat really judged that superbly. I know.
Oh.
And here we go. Brody Lawless, he hasn't given up yet. Oh, went into the wall. It was Brody, and that's the front wing gone there. and everyone did really well to avoid him, and McNaughton was involved in that too. He had nowhere to go. Mark McNaughton missing his front wing, and Brody Lawless, I think that might be his chance of a podium completely gone there. So a really unfortunate crash.
Yes. He saved it. It was a nice
McNaughton's
save,
still
but
going in
then-
7th, but he will have to go into the pit lane. And one of the big beneficiaries of this is Bobby Vakinov from 7th to 4th.
He has gained positions.
Oh, sorry, Sataris, I think you might have just dropped out on us there. He just come back. So Mike Bell
I
now
have
in a
problems
battle with
here.
Horacio for 5th position. It's Vakinov ahead of them, who is making some good progress here. Vakinov trying to go round the side of Franca. Don't worry, Sataris. Oh, and that looks like Horacio going really erratic and off the road there, and that's going to allow Vakinov through up the inside, and now Mike Bell, he wants to take advantage of all this chaos ahead too. That's Tranka going off, just being disposed of by Bobby Vakinov, who's now on the podium at the end of already. Meanwhile, Alessandro Maggio, who's only gotten up to 13th position, he's just got by McNaughton. Oh, and that's Tranka trying to go at the inside of Vakinov there at the penultimate corner at Prost. And now through center they go. And onto the main straight, and it looks like Vakinov trying to break the toe of the cars behind by going to the inside. So Tranka, he's going to have a bit of a push from behind here from Horacio.
It's a
But it is
five-car
Vakinov
battle
that
here.
goes through the inside into turn 1 and holds that 3rd position. But Tranka gets a pretty good run on exit. He will try and go around the outside. Vakinov defending really well here. Yeah, this
It's
is pretty
really hard
crazy.
to
Sellers
pass
is
here.
getting involved in this too. And here we go. That looks like Mike Bell trying to go round the outside of
They
Horacio
touched. They touched.
through turn 4, and he's is he going to do this one? Superb opportunism from Mike Bell, and is he going to get enough space here from Horacio? Yes, he is. Oh! There we go. That was Horacio and Sellers just having brief contact, and Horacio off the road again, and Sellers almost blocked by him there. So Bradley Sellers is going to have to just position himself for the move here into turn 11 then, and all going a bit wrong for Horacio. He just keeps going off track, doesn't he, Sataris?
Yes.
I can hear you, Heigo.
Yes, cameraman, we can hear you.
So sorry about the
Yeah, we have a 5-second
communication
delay.
blunders here on my end, I think, ladies and gents. But the order still, Jeffrey Ellis from Moat, Vakinov, Tranka, Bell, Horacio, Kelly, and Latinus.
Best lap time, Ellis. Best lap time.
Yes, I
Matteo is
apologize for that,
still-
Sataris. It's not the easiest way to commentate, is it? But anyway,
Yeah, I
we'll
have
to press on, I
some
guess,
technical
as best we
problems
can. And this train, yeah, so Ellis still is 1.6 ahead of Moat. Moat is actually not too far behind. Well, well, if you can keep an eye on the live timing, that will give you a pretty accurate, up-to-date picture of what's going on. So I can just see if I can try and send that to you while I commentate on the race then. And this battle between Vakinov, Tranka, Bell, and Horacio for 3rd position continues on, with Vakinov holding everyone at bay, but not really catching Archie Moat in 2nd position, which is a big. It's a bit of a. It's going to limit his progress here. As Tranka cuts to the inside, dips up a little bit of a wheel on the grass, and now Mike Bell is going to try
Oh, someone went
all the
off.
way around the outside of him then, as they go through the high-speed lakeside section, and Bradley Sellers is going to try and make it 3 wide here. Here they go into turn 11.
Yeah,
And
I
that's good
think
defensive driving there from Mike Bell there. He's cleared Horacio. And now, Horacio goes off track, and that will let Tranka through as well. So Luna Tranka then recovers back up to 5th position. So more erratic mistakes from... Oh, you dropped down as again. Not having the easiest commentary debut, but hey,
Yeah,
we get what we can.
I have a
We'll
massive
carry on
delay
then.
for some
So
reason.
Horacio is still setting purple sectors. But Vakanov sets fastest lap of the race. He's still closing on Archie Mart, actually 3 seconds behind him. Then Archie Mart is 1.1 behind Jeffrey Ellis. But it is Van Sand who now sets the fastest lap of the race behind Vince Hale. Maggio is 11th, chasing down Jasse Latinen for 10th position. So let me see if I can just get the live timing to Sataris.
Yeah, thank you.
See if that is any help. But anyway,
Thank
back
you.
to
I'm having
the races
problems here. Thank you. So I have the times here.
Yeah, here we go. Looks like there's a battle now between Sellers and Horacio. And behind them, Vesely, Petras, and Latinen are all fighting over 8th position. But Bradley Sellers is going to try and go around. He's the last guy to overtake Horacio in that group now. With Bell and Tranker starting to streak away ahead of them. And behind, looks like Petras is about to be challenged by Latinen in the light blue car. But Bradley Sellers held off by Horacio through the turn 13. As they approach turn 13, sorry. And now here we go, Latinen in the green car, sorry, trying to go around the outside of Marek Petras into turn 13. And Latinen is going to get a good exit here, but nowhere to go. And Maggio now is involved in this right behind the pair of them. Is Maggio going to be able to position himself well?
Or take advantage of this situation.
Yeah, here we go, so Latinen delay diving up the inside of Petras, and that allowed Maggio to go all around the outside of him at the final corner. So beautiful move there from Alessandro Maggio to get into the top 10 now. Now it is Petras, the next target, the next step on the ladder that you mentioned earlier, Sataris. And look behind, Flo and Vince Hale in a fight for 12th, and Vince Hale gets through. Yeah, Latinen recovering well though, getting back through past Maggio, and now at the inside of Petras at turn 3. So he got a great strip. Maggio in trouble. Maggio spins.
Really?
Oh, Maggio getting it all wrong at turn 3.
Yes.
And that's really going to
compromise
his chances of finishing well here.
Good race. Really
so he just
race.
tripped over Petras there.
Yep. Very good race.
It was shaping up into something good, and unfortunately, a bit of a setback there. But we know Maggio, he's not one to give up. So down in 14th, he's behind Van Saden now by about 5 seconds. So he will be getting back on his rhythm in the last 6 laps. As Bradley Sellers finally cleared Horacio. Bradley Sellers up to 6th then, and from Horacio, and he's through as we watch Petras chasing down Latinen for 9th position. But meanwhile, let's have a look at the top 3. Oh, Mike Bell is past Horacio now as well. Yeah, Ellis is being caught by Moat.
Are pretty close.
Yeah, he was a tenth faster the previous lap. So, and there is Horacio trying to counterattack on Mike Bell then. Horacio almost hits the back of Mike Bell. And is that Mike Bell missing his front wing, actually? It is. No wonder Mike Bell is dropping down the order then. As he tries to defend, he turns in on Horacio. And I don't know what happened to Mike Bell to lose his front wing, but he must have hit someone or something. And it's flown away from him.
Goes
We've seen a lot of front wings parting. And Mike Bell goes really wide here. And he's going to struggle to get...
having problems now.
We know Brody Lawless has had to retire earlier in this race.
He has to pit.
Yeah, he's got to put a new front wing on. That's going to drop Mike Bell well there. So this is going to be quite a mixed-up finishing grid as we see that looks like Latinen now challenging. And we see Sellers has cleared Tranker to get into 4th position. So Bradley Sellers making brilliant progress here in this race now with Mike Bell hitting trouble. Sellers gained 7 positions. Although Zanini has gained 11, starting right at the back. He's got up to 16th as Mike Bell continues to plummet down the order. And that's quite a depressing sight for Mike Bell indeed. You see yellow in the 3rd sector, which I'm sure is caused by Mike knows Flo. Flo retiring.
Flo retired. What happened though?
Yeah, I think then Flo may have crashed out there. He was fighting with Giacales for 14. And that's his race over then, with only about 5 laps left to run. Ellis still holding off Moat by 0.6 of a second then. And Vakanov is 2 seconds down, and Mike Bell finally reaches the pit lane and comes in for a new front wing. And look at this, Latinen is chasing Bin Sahel, who's got himself up into 9th position. So great driving from Bin Sahel to avoid drama. Yep, so Mike, I'm afraid, unless something magical happens in the last few laps. And we see Van Sand getting involved. So all these 3 top drivers squabbling over 9th position.
Yes, a big fight for 9th
Petras,
position.
Veseli, Horacio and Tranker ahead of them that they've all got to clear, really. So they're so busy fighting each other that it's like a sprint. Yeah, a little mistake from Bin Sahel, but only a little bit of grass thrown up in the face of... no, it's not Yasser. It is Yasser Latinen, sorry. I thought I was getting him mixed up. Maggio's up to 12th now, past Giagalis. So Maggio sets another fastest lap of the race as he attempts to recover from what happened earlier. Here comes Centre Van Stan using the slipstream as Bin Sahel defends. And wheels touching between Latinen and Van Sand. But Van Sand sweeps around the outside at turn 11 to get up into 10th position. That was a brave move indeed by Centre Van Sand. And Latinen, who was gaining ground earlier, now finds himself being swept out the way quite rudely.
This move was brilliant.
That's that battle concluded for the time being, although Joseph Bin Sahel gets very wide in exit turn 13, and that is going to allow Van Sand to come up the inside, and Latinen as well as Joseph Bin off the track there. So Bin Sahel, who was defending so well, now finds himself back down to 11th then. So this battle continues and rages on. Vakanov has actually cleared Moat. Moat has made a mistake up front, which has dropped him down to 3rd, and he's now right behind as here we go. Latinen trying to go round the outside of Sandra Van Sand at turn 1. And not quite able to do it. Let's see if he can get the run out of turn 2 and approaching turn 3. All this trio is starting to catch Horacio and Petras not far up the road. But Latinen, missed successfully. And Latinen will just have that. But he's now half a second down on Jeffrey Ellis, has been slowly catching him. I think he's going to catch him on the final lap, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to really mount a challenge here. Meanwhile, Maggio 1.3 behind Joseph Bin Sahel and getting involved in that battle for 9th. Here's Moat. Somebody goes well off track there. It might be a lapped car as Jeffrey Ellis gets a penalty. The race leader gets a penalty, and that is going to hand the lead to Vakanov. Archie Moat goes right into the back of Vakanov, so I think Ellis cut the track and gained an advantage, potentially from cutting the chicane. And look at this, Ellis all over the road with Vakanov behind him. And Moat here, he senses blood.
He might lose 2 positions.
Chance to win here. Ellis spins.
No.
And that's a clumsy mistake for Jeffrey Ellis. He's thrown away the race here. Something is very wrong with that car. He might even have to come into the pit here. And indeed he does to serve that penalty.
This is
so Bobby Vakanov takes the lead from Archie Moat, 3 tenths behind him. Bradley Sellers now 3rd, with Luca Tranker 4th. Not Luca Tranker, is it? It's it is Luna Tranker, sorry. Horacio is 5th, Vassili 6th, Petras 7th, Sandra Van Sant 8th, Latinen 9th, Bin Sahel 10th, and Maggio just behind in 11th. So still plenty to play for with 2 laps to go. And Moat now, after being sort of making a mistake of his own earlier, now fancies a run at Vakanov.
Maggio will fight.
Yeah, Maggio, I think, fancies it's another rerun of the Bin Sahel Maggio battle, isn't it? We saw in Imola. And there we go. Latinen makes a mistake, so Maggio and Bin Sahel through into 9th. And Latinen, we're in lots of trouble because Giagalis is through now as well.
Zanini moved
wrong with Latinen. He did. Latinen lost 4 positions there, so he must have spun or something. And look at going all over the road there, trying to put pressure on Bobby Vakanov.
He's pushing. He wants the first place. Yeah. He's pushing.
Yeah, his best chance here is to put Bobby Vakanov into under pressure, so he makes a mistake. So Vakanov looking good for its third race 2 win in a row. And here we go. This is the battle for 8th position between Petras and Van Sand, who, after just getting through Petras, gets really wide at turn 13 and almost goes into the wall, but collects it in time, mercifully, and holds on to that 7th position. And now Jan Vaselli is the next target then for Sandra Van Sand, who continues to climb up the order. But there's not much time left, only a lap. We're on a penultimate lap now. Backing up, leads 1.8 seconds behind. Maggio sets another fastest third sector to close on Marek Petras in 8th ahead of him. So the top 3, it's looking like any of the 3 could win this one, but I have a feeling Bakanov has got things just about in hand unless Bradley Sull is able to clear Moat and start challenging him really soon.
I agree with you.
So
Moat is falling behind, as it seems. Vakinov has
8 attempts now, the gap between himself and Vakinov.
Seems to be better now.
Yeah, Moat's best chance is to sort of get the slipstream down the straight. Look how wide he's going as well on these wide corners, so that potentially could allow Vakinov to sprint away here. He's getting almost a second ahead now. So I think Moat has really got to get himself back under control, stay on track here, because if he makes any more mistakes, Bradley Sull is going to start challenging him soon. He's yellow in the first sector.
To get a penalty then, and he might lose more places.
Oh.
Penalty
Horacio gets a penalty, actually, as you say that. And that's Horacio in 5th position. Bakanov set the fastest third sector race.
At race 1.
Lots of corner cutting.
Moat is spitting.
So Horacio. Oh dear, so that is him serving the penalty, and that lets Bradley Sellers through then on the final lap of the race. A hot break for Archie Moat. Is he even going to finish on the podium? Surely Luna Tranker is going to come through, and Horacio's got to serve a penalty as well. So this could potentially put Vaselli into the fight for 4th position.
As we
there
can see, a lot of people are serving their
into
penalties.
the top 3 there. Hold on to it. Oh. Yes, so Sellers now 2.5 seconds behind Vakinov. So I think Vakinov, as long as he doesn't make any big mistakes, he's got this in hand then, Sataris.
Yes, he's going to get that P1. He's 3 seconds ahead, so
yeah,
now he has to hold down and bring the car home, nothing else.
Looks like Horacio decided, even though we saw the penalty pop up on screen, he's either going to have to serve it at the end of the final lap or have a post-race penalty. But that certainly opens the door for Fazeli to get up to 4th. And here is Petras trying to get back in front of Van Sand. And here's Latinen fighting Zanini for 12th. But Vakinov, he's got a very clear gap to Bradley Sellers. It looks like Vakinov is going to win 3 race 2s in a row, which is going to be quite the boon for him. He's really made up ground, stayed out of trouble in this race, while others have gone off track in front of him, have got penalties for corner cutting. Vakinov has stayed on the track, has done everything he needed to do, and there's only 2 corners now to go before Vakinov wins another race 2, as it looks like Vaselli has got past Horacio on track anyway. But Vakinov through the final corner now, goes towards the line, and will go the way of the Bulgarian. Vakinov wins in Melbourne. Bradley Sellers, he's going to finish, he's going to gain 9 places. Luna Tranker takes his first podium in 3rd, and now Horacio has held on to 4th on the run to the line. Latinen makes a last-ditch attempt at getting past Zanini. Zanini's got the inside, though, as they go through the final corner. Is Latinen going to be able to get him on a drag race to the line? Here they come. I think Zanini's going to hold on to that well-earned 12th position. And Latinen, is he going to get him here, or is he going to fall just short? He falls short. And there we go. Horacio, with his penalty, falls down to 13th position in the end. So Zanini did get 11th place there. And Latinen will feel a bit frustrated. There's somebody in the wall there. But I would say, fantastic driving from Vakinov and Sellers to make their way through the field. And Maggio could have got a much better result there, especially with Van Sand in the top 5, so you got to say.
Maggio was pushing a lot.
Oh, it looks like Vakinov's running out of fuel because he's close to slowing to a halt then. But that's indeed. But Maggio having a very, very eventful race indeed on his way to 8th. But Vakinov wins for the 3rd time in a row in race 3. And certainly that was probably one of the harder ones. He didn't have people crash in front of him. He really had to fight his way through there. And he didn't start in reverse group pole either. Bradley still is 2nd with a great battling race of his own to gain 7 positions to 2nd. Luna Tranka holds off the faster cars behind to take 3rd in a very, very stylish drive. Michele Horacio did finish 4th on the road, but got a post-race penalty that puts him down to 13th. So Jan Vaselli inherits that 4th position. Sandra Van Sand finishes 5th. Marek Petras finishes 6th from Archie Moat. Maggio 8th, as we said. Yusuf Bin Sahel, I think, is going to finish. Zanini. Jasse Latinen, who was 0.072 behind Zanini on the run to the line there. So very close indeed. But Zanini, some good luck came his way. He holds on to that well-earned 11th place. Ellis actually finished 13th in the end, the pole sitter, after a very difficult race and a penalty of his own. Horacio finishes 15th after his penalty. Joshua Dexter 15th. A much better result than race 1, where he got taken out. Bjorn Golder finishes 16th ahead of Byron Lucadelis in 17th. Mike Bell 18th after losing that front wing. Christian Vazdar finishes 19th from Louis Smith in 20th. Mark McNaughton 4/10 behind Louis Smith. Another race of what could have been for Mark McNaughton after starting so high up the field. Fahid Ahmed finishes the race a lap down in 22nd. Then it is, I believe, our retirements then of Asuma Kanani. Unlucky for Flo. Caroline Harvick, Brody Lawless started on the front row. A horrible ending at race for Brody Lawless in the end. And Ben Constantine, our first retirement. So, Taras, shall we see if we can get Alessandro Maggio in?
Anywhere, yeah. We have interviews right now.
I wasn't going anywhere, don't worry.
I'm moving.
Yes,
Maggio
I'm just trying to
in.
find. There we go. You drag him in for me because I'm lagging a bit on my end.
Hello, Maggio. Ciao.
Oh,
Well,
do we need to unmute Maggio?
can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes.
See if we can.
We can hear you loud and clear.
So race 2 didn't go as planned, I guess.
Yeah, I can't hear Alessandro, so you might have to do this interview, Sataris.
Wait.
But,
Can you hear him?
I can hear him, yeah. Hold up.
No. If he's saying things, I can't hear him. Let me see, because I'm not even seeing him dragged into the broadcast room. There we go. So we are now joined by Alessandro Maggio. Alessandro, are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
There we go. I can hear him now. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that.
Good.
Lag on my end that Discord just wasn't playing ball. But anyway, Alessandro, winner in race 1 and 8th place in race 2. So race 1, I think, the happier occasion once more for you, Alessandro, where you controlled from the front. Yusuf Bin Sahel didn't crash into you this time. So some relief there. But then race 2 from the back, a spin while you were fighting with Marek Petras and Jasse Latinen really lost you a lot of time, and then you were able to fight your way back into the top 8 then. So talk to us about those 2 races you went through. So certainly race 2, the more eventful one, I think it's fair to say.
Well, yeah, race 1 went smooth, as always. I'm happy with that. But race 2, well, my plan was, I couldn't win this because this track is too tight to pass on. It's too fast. So I was planning at least, I don't know, top 5, maybe podium. But we started battling, me and Yusuf, as always. And to be honest, I don't want to sound like rude here, but I think some of our incidents that we had this time was, were his fault. I'm not trying to say that I'm not guilty of what happened in some occasions, but I think like this time it's his fault. But anyways, I had a spin later on in the race battling with Mark Petras. It was my fault because I tried to do a very aggressive switchback, but he didn't see it coming, so he closed the door on me, and I lost, I think, about 5 to 7 places. And once again, I climbed up the field, and P8 at the end.
Yeah, certainly a bit unlucky there in race 2, and some, as you say, strongish words for Yusuf, but I'm sure he'll take it on board next time, because he was pretty open and honest about what happened in Imola. So we'll have to see. But certainly Yusuf having good performances of his own, indeed. But Alessandro, do you think? I don't know where the next round is. I'm not sure if it's even decided yet. But do you
Malaysia.
think? Malaysia, okay, Sepang, okay, so that should be quite exciting then. Of course, very different track to Imola and Melbourne Albert Park. Of course, with there's not too many chicanes. Malaysia, it's all really about slipstreaming and overtaking. Do you fancy your chances in a race 2 at Sepang a bit more than at Albert Park, or do you think it's going to be another sort of just stay out of trouble and hope you can gain places sort of affair?
Well, considering Sepang is a very wide track, I think it's the widest track that F1 has ever had. It's going to be a little bit easier to pass, but the mentality is still the same. Just keep up the tribal and make up as many places as you can.
Exactly. So, Sataris, do you have any questions for Alessandro before he goes?
No, because Yusuf is waiting too.
Oh, fair enough.
Also, this is my first time commentating, so I want to learn.
Okay, fair enough.
The
interviews are part of it, I guess.
I want to listen Ed first.
Well, I hope I'm a good teacher rather than a bad one. But, anyway, thank you very much for coming to talk to us, Alessandro, and congrats on another race 1 win. And I know race 2 wasn't the ending that the result you quite would have wanted, but certainly your pace was extremely impressive. I think you comfortably set the fastest lap in both races.
Oh, thank you guys. See you.
Race 1, it was spectacular.
Anyway,
good evening.
So thank you very much to Alessandro Maggio. We're joined now by Yusuf bin Sahel, who Alessandro was just talking about. So Yusuf, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so great performance in race 1 to I know you would have been annoyed about Sandra Van Stan getting you about midway through race 1, but you still got on the podium. So much cleaner than Imola, which was a little bit, you were kind of a punching bag in race 1 in Imola, and the end of race 2 as well, for that matter. But and then race 2, another chaotic affair where you were making some great moves as well. And I think did you finish 7th or 9th in the end in race 2?
I think it was 9th. There were a lot of penalties that came through and drive-throughs and stuff, so I don't really know what was happening throughout race 2. It was just kind of chaotic.
It was, yes, but certainly you were making a load of great moves. I think there was a great battle with Alessandro, and he was like a little bit kind of, well, we both kind of hit each other a few times, or a bit aggressive with one another. And I think there was Latinen was involved as well, and there was that great just sort of 4-car battle between all of you quick guys from race 1 just making your way through, and that was very impressive to watch.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I've known Sandra for a long time. We used to be teammates in an F1 league, so we were in VC. So race 1, obviously, I was a little bit upset because I just made a stupid mistake all on my own. Although Sandra definitely had a pace.
Was that out of turn 12 and 13? Was it?
Yeah, going into the double right-hander. No, sorry, it was going through the chicane. I went wide over the chicane. You have to lift off when you go on the grass, otherwise you could just 360 it. And I lost about 2 seconds there, which cost me the position. Race 2 was interesting because Maggio went up my inside in the middle of the fast chicane. So I kind of saw him really late, so there was a bit of contact. I looked back through it and I thought, okay, you know what, fair play, that was a clean move. But at the time I was a bit annoyed. So going into the penultimate corner, I sent him from really far back. And I got it stopped on the apex. And in my opinion, it's a clean move. But he didn't see me until late. So then the opposite happened. So there was more contact. But he then got past me, I think, after more contact somewhere else. And then he ended up making a mistake, dropping back through the field and coming through. So then I thought, okay, round 2, I'm going to defend for my life again. And there was so many incidents. And then Latinen went for a 360 midair at some point in that.
Wow, I think we missed that.
So Sandro saw it from rear view camera and he was just thinking, what on earth just happened? But I just see his car. It goes over the curb on the exit of turn 4 and it literally just somersaults in the air twice and then just lands and just destroys itself.
I guess that's what happened to Yasse Latinen then.
I don't even know how he got that curb is horrible because it's the sausage curb on the exit, and if you catch it at the wrong angle, it's weird. But I've never seen a car do whatever gymnastics he did with it.
Yeah, certainly the laws of physics being redefined here at Melbourne tonight. But anyway, unless you had any questions, I think I was going to congratulate Yusuf on, I think, his second podium in a row then, with that third in race one. And I'm sure we're going to see you again in action at Malaysia in the next round in about 2 weeks' time, Yusuf.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I didn't actually realize it's Malaysia, but I've always liked Malaysia. So,
well, if Alessandro is telling me the truth, then it is Sepang. But...
Okay.
I'm too lazy to check at the moment.
Let me check. Don't worry. Let me check real quick.
I've not driven at Malaysia for about 2-3 years, I think, since it was last on the F1 games.
Yeah, true. Well, time for a refresher then. I guess it's always been an R factor. But anyway, thank you very much for coming to talk to us, Yusuf. And sadly, you weren't involved in a big highlightable moment of me shouting crazy things. I think I did miss quite a few chunks of that crazy 4-car battle.
It's
but to be
Malaysia.
fair, Heigo Poom Race Direction did a great job. It is Malaysia, so Sataris has gone and checked.
Malaysia. He was right.
But anyway, yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for coming to talk to us, Yusuf.
Thank you, Yusuf.
And put on a great show for us again. And I'm sure you will do so again in Malaysia.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Speaking of putting on a show, shall we get Mike Bell in for our final interview? So we are joined now by Mike Bell, who was in all sorts of battles today. Some of them ended better than others, unfortunately. So race one, Mike finished in, I think he just got beaten by Bradley Sellers at the end and finished 6th. And then race two, Mike Bell, unfortunately, was doing really well, lost his front wing in an incident and ended up finishing quite a way down in the midfield. So, Mike, some highlights today, but certainly it was a little bit a story of frustration for you overall, I think it might be fair to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't really go with frustration, to be honest. It was
okay.
It was a lot of fun. Race one didn't have the chance to get the most prep done today. And finally managed to start actually finding a bit of pace, maybe like 5 minutes before qualifying. So, yeah, messed up a little bit in quali and had I think it was like P10 or something off the line. And yeah, had a good race up through with Brad. We had Bobby a little bit behind us as well. It was that was good fun. Yeah, and then just came up short in the end. Getting passed by Brad with like a lap and a bit to go, and
it was a great battle though, because you were always on the defensive line before Bradley could do anything, and then right at the end he sort of outfoxed you. And I was saying in commentary, "Oh, this is frustrating from Bradley Sellers' point of view and stuff." And so that shows what a good job you were doing for most of that race.
I don't feel like I was really doing that much to defend. It was more of a case of he had a little look early on. I got past him when we were still in the bunch, and then it was actually fairly decently well working together. So like I wasn't going super defensive, he wasn't going super aggressive, and we were just trying to reel the bunch in. And obviously he got one lap where he had a mega run, and I just couldn't do anything about it. And then, kind of annoyingly, the guy who I'd been chasing the entire race pretty much instantly makes a mistake, so we just end up on the back of the fight for P3 at the line, which, if we'd gotten through the pack a bit earlier, would have been all right. Thankfully, though, the I wasn't far enough back to get caught in the sheer brain deadery on the rolling lap. So thankfully, I actually got a race, but it was the entire row behind me that just got wiped. So I'm sat on the grid and I'm thinking the guy behind me is quite a long way back. I look back and there's just no one in the 2 grid spots behind me. So it's like, oh, okay, guess I've got a buffer for a bad start. But
I do think it was a sparsely populated grid there.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes people don't make it to the end of the formation lap. It's just how it goes sometimes, and you have to start in the pit lane.
It's I don't know, the front of the grid just took off. I'm just sort of doing my own thing. Then everyone behind me just wasn't keeping up. So then when everything starts to come back together at the end, and some people aren't paying attention, and I just got one of the guys, a couple people behind me got absolutely railed. So feel kind of bad for them, but and then the second race, I think, summed up with another one of these. Hey, let's make it 4 wide into the third turn of the race, and I was on comms with Brad, and he was like, "You do know you're 4 wide, right?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, let's see if we can go and get 3 people in one." And I think it was Bobby went right down the inside, I went right down the outside, and sort of bracketed the 2 people in the middle, and then it was just a case of trying to go up through, and ended up in a battle with Luna, and I got past, and then they came back on me, just clipped me, and it knocked me wide enough that dropped the wheel on the grass, and round we went. And unfortunately, Brad had nowhere to go and just ripped my front wing off. Didn't do any damage to the car except just removing the front wing, which was very, very annoying because I had to go around and get a new wheel.
That's frustrating. I think we missed that on stream because we just cut to you releasing the front wing and then trying to avoid everyone on the way back to the pit lane.
Yeah,
that must have been a bit scary.
Nah, not really, to be honest. I mean, I'm at that point now. I know my race is ruined. I'm just trying to get back to the pits to try and go for a vanity run for a top 15 or something. So I'm just there. I knew other people had been in the pits. I knew Mark McNaughton lost his front wing, and I'm thinking, all right, I just got to, if I beat him, that's my race now. People who've lost the front wing. So I was just getting back as efficiently as I could. So I wouldn't, I wasn't going around dawdling, but I wasn't trying to get in anyone's way either. It was just it was an awkward balance, but I've run enough engines in on a kart that I can kind of feel like I can handle myself like that, and yeah, it was good fun. Sadly, it completely knackered Brad's car as well. He was constantly on about having no rear end grip, which around a track where it's basically all high speed corners, the one thing you need to do well here is have confidence in the back end of the car, and if that goes wobbly, then that goes wobbly. So yeah, it wasn't the best one for all of us. And then our third endurance teammate Jeff, he was leading the race for yonks, and then got himself a drive-through and spun. So
yeah, he did. That was it. All fell apart very suddenly for him in a very dramatic fashion.
He wasn't the most confident after practice. He basically blew his PC up a few weeks ago, and he only got it back working today. So he's had even less prep than we did, and got on, and we just just do his best in the first race.
It was pretty hilarious cutting to Jeffrey Ellis at the end of race 1, and he had both front and rear wings just completely ripped off at some point.
Yeah, he I've heard I haven't seen it, but I've heard what happened on that one, and I go back to my brain deadery from the race 1 rolling lap, and
everyone fighting for that reverse grid pole a bit too hard.
Well, they're fighting for P12. It's not reverse grid pole. It's
true. Well, he got it, but it was the consolation prize.
He did indeed, and he was sounding quite alarmed when he figured that out. But no, credit to Jeff. He got a good start, got the start he needed, and certainly when I lost my front wing, he was in the lead doing all right, and I think he got caught and then spun it. So shame for that. But yeah,
I had to apologize because I was praising Luna's defensive driving earlier. I didn't know that Luna and you had come together.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not going to call that brain deadery. That was just, it happens. I went by. I made a punt at trying to stick with Bobby. Just went in a bit too hot on, I don't know what corner number it is now, but the 90 right at the end of the long straight.
Ascari, turn 13, isn't it?
Yeah. Dropped the wheel on the grass, was slow. They went in, just carried a little bit too much speed and gave me a bit of a knock in the wheel, knocked me wide, and it's one of those things. It happens. I'm not mad at it at all, but it was unfortunate. That's all it was. And then to be fair, they done pretty well to hold Bobby and me off for as long as they done, and then obviously to keep with me to the point where I made the mistake and they were right on me. So they done all the right things. It was just unfortunate.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, plenty of more chances for you, Mike Bell, to get on the podium for the Mike Bell train to keep ringing as it goes into the station.
The Bell
Next stop, Sepang.
It always gets where it's going, but it doesn't necessarily arrive on time.
And sometimes the front wing gets ripped off and it has to put a new one on.
Snow plow,
you got to drive in all conditions, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of having the global transport network. You got to keep going.
Indeed. But anyway, thanks very much for talking to us, Mike. Are you looking forward to Sepang? Very different circuit to the last two.
Honestly, Sepang's never really been my jam, but that's the thing with Academy Series is I've got no stake in it. I can just turn up and give it my best, and I feel like ultimately doing that this season, just turning up, having fun, and trying to provide some interesting racing. And it sounds like a lot of it's being caught on camera, so hopefully you're all enjoying it as much as I am. But
I certainly am.
that's the aim of the game. I mean, if I turn up at Sepang and I'm absolutely dog slow, then I try and survive. And if we end up on the front for race 2, then I guess I'm just gonna have to get wide.
Yeah, just the problem is those long straights you can get slipstreamed either side at Sepang, so it's not going to be quite as easy.
Not if you go wide enough.
Oh, that's true. But well, we'll see. We'll see if let's see if everyone's brains are working correctly in Academy when we get to Sepang. Fingers crossed.
Let's go with that. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mike. And we'll see you
Bye,
in 2 weeks'
Mike.
time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, with our interviews done, then, Sataris, any final words before we go off air?
Good night, guys, and see you in the next race.
Yeah, of course, in 2 weeks' time. So that will be the, I think it's going to be 10th of April? Or is it 3rd of April? Well, I think it's 3rd of April is the next one.
4th or 3rd, yes.
4th.
Yes.
Oh, that's a Tuesday. Okay, for Academy.
Yes.
That's weird. Oh, well, I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to get back in time.
I think it's Monday. I'm not very sure.
It'd be the 3rd, which is Monday. So 3rd of April, we'll be back for round 5 in Sepang. But we really hope you've enjoyed all the action from Australia. But of course, just like Imola, it was Alessandro Maggio winning race 1 and Bobby Vakanov, the race 2 extraordinaire. He just keeps winning race 2s, and he did it again here at Albert Park. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Edward Hunter. And he has been Sataris Contagouris. And thank as well to Heigo Poom. Yeah, thanks. I really enjoyed commentating with you. Yeah. I hope you come back in the future, Sataris.
As a cameraman.
Well, talking cameraman, a non-talking one, I'm fine either way. I think you did really well.
Yes, I will try. I will try my best for the next time.
Absolutely. I think we sorted all the
Today I was learning, so
yeah.
I wasn't saying anything.
And thanks, last of all, to you, the audience, if indeed you're still watching. And we'll see you next time at Sepang in 2 weeks' time for more exciting Academy action. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.